You know what time it is, Bitcoin Radio. What's up? I'm your man, Joe Blackburn, and we're here for another awesome podcast of WBTC, where Bitcoin lives. Folks, it is that time of year. I am getting in the spirit. It is holiday time. I am enjoying the Christmas decorating and cookies and all sorts of crazy stuff. I've been playing this game about, we have an elf running around, apparently writing letters to my daughter. It's been fun. This is the first year that she's really been interacting with that. But, as this season comes up, I know obviously everybody in crypto is worldwide. Not everybody celebrates the same thing. So, as much respect as I have for everybody, it's a really fun time to be around these parts, I guess you could say. It's just one of those just auras that just kind of encapsulates everybody, and gets them excited about something's coming, anyways. But between the food, the family, the prospect of, Magic Santa coming around with his reindeer, it's been a fun already early part of December. But moving forward, I have a cool show for everybody today. Buddy of mine, he's Gil from Gilded. You already may have heard of him. He's a NOLA boy from New Orleans, and he's doing something special in the blockchain with him and his team. And big shout out to Raina. I know she'll be listening, and the rest of the team. I'm sure we'll let Gil get into that. But Gil Hildebrand from New Orleans has created a company called Gilded, and he's the CEO and he's the founder of the company. And kind of incorporates something that we all kind of hear about, and it's a little bit like we just have this already pre-assumed, disposition on what the word means, and that's accounting, right? And it can sound boring, I guess, at times, but I actually got a good friend, Parker, who I often give shout outs to, because he's kind of like that average Joe, normal person who jumped into crypto. Dude just got his own miner. I should start just giving Parker updates because the dude's jumped head first, but he's also an accountant, and I know that he's going to at least enjoy this episode, but I'm sure many others of you will as well. Man, it's coming out hard today. All right, anyways, but getting back to Gil. Gil is one of those guys who, I got a chance to meet him a couple years ago. I think it was in February for like TechCrunch or something. Something was going on in New Orleans, and I was down there with Donnie, who's a moderator in CCT, and Gil shows up. He's been part of CCT. He's got this long, lion's mane of head of hair, just shows up, buys a drink, and he's like already commanding the room. There's something special about the dude, and I look forward to introducing him and everybody else getting a chance to meet him. But, I love watching my Southerners, my fellow folks from around these parts, getting things done in the blockchain space. Is really special. He's been in several competitions and been pitching, his own company, and along with the rest of the team, and doing really well, and just building a lot of momentum. And it's worth it for you to listen to what's going on. Not necessarily, even if you don't have something that can be used for this, you should hear, and what you'll get out of this is what my expectations are, at least, is that you're going to have the opportunity to see how businesses are using this, right? And it's bigger than just what Gil's doing. It's kind of, it captures, what is going on in blockchain and how this stuff's actually being used, and why people are taking it a lot more serious now on a business level. So anyways, we'll bring him on here shortly, as noted. But as I always like to say, want to give big shout outs to everybody part of this team, with Bitcoin Radio, but also, everybody who's listening. It's really special. It's meant a lot to me. We're 4 months into this podcast, and I can't even complain one bit. It's been, a heck of a run so far, and we're already over 50 shows, coming up on 60 now. So big shout out to you, the listener. All right. So enough about me. Let's go ahead and bring Gil on. What's up, Big Daddy? Welcome to the show, Gil.
What's up, Joe? Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. And shout out to you.
Hey, cheers, man. Cheers. To this day, I love y'all's emblem. I consider it one of the better emblems in the crypto space. I think you guys did a really good job. Also, and I'm going to show your website here in a minute for those that watch on the YouTube or anywhere else. But you guys, you understand the user experience. That's for sure.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the key things that's missing from blockchain, right? Is that Absolutely. if you want to understand, or if you want to use it, you need to understand how it works.
Yep.
Imagine if you wanted to drive your car to the grocery store, but you had to know how an internal combustion engine works. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
It's a great analogy, by the way. It's a great analogy. Well, real quick, Gil, before we get started on this, man, let's hear a little bit about you. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
All right. So I have been a software developer for 20 years. I started when I was 15. I've been doing this stuff a long time. I spent half of my career working with Seth Godin. We started a company called Squidoo, It was a social publishing platform. We grew it to one of the top 50 sites on the net. And with that, we actually did something really innovative, which was we paid made back to the people who used our platform. You know, your audience may be familiar with Steemit. We were doing something like that without crypto for many years. We grew it to millions of page views a day and millions of dollars in revenue, tens of millions. And we paid this money to people all over the world. And we did it using the old world, you know, payment rails. And it was difficult internationally. It was difficult electronically. I knew there had to be a better way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew there had to be a better way, but we're talking starting in 2005.
Sure.
And so we didn't have a way.
Man, ahead of your time for sure.
Long story short, you know, the company was acquired much later, but I never really had a chance to introduce crypto into it. But when I got involved in crypto, which like so much of your audience and most of the people I know in crypto, was in 2017. If you were in it before that, good on you.
Cheers.
You know, I saw that I had to put my energy into this because this is going to solve a real problem. So I started Gilded, and we are trying to bring businesses into this new open financial world. And so my job is, as a CEO of Gilded, to figure out how to make that happen.
Absolutely, man. And I mean, obviously there's been some success, and we're going to get to that here in a minute, but you guys are kind of doing something that I don't want to say that nobody else is doing. I have not heard of anybody else taking this on head first. And I don't want to pretend like I know I would even have heard about it. Right. I mean, this is one of those things that's a little bit above my head on a big scale, you know, but when you broke it down to me the first time we talked and really explained to me what it was, you know, it started to make sense about how the moving pieces of business and within, you know, the crypto sphere, as we so often refer to it as, it really, there needs to be some familiarity, and that's something I say a lot to the rest of the world for them to even take this seriously if you're going to be doing business on this level. And I love the way that you approach this. And before we even, you know, go too deep into that, tell us exactly what you're actually accomplishing with what Gilded is doing.
So if we want to take this industry beyond speculation, and if we want to see businesses be able to use it, then we have to take care of accounting. Now, accounting, you know, may seem like a boring subject, but you need it to answer questions like, you know, how much money did we make last month? Did we stick to our budget? How much do we owe in taxes? All of these things are vital for a business to be able to make important business decisions. So what Gilded does is it's a software platform that enables businesses to connect their wallets, exchange accounts, get all of their crypto financial activity in one place. From there, we enrich the data with, like, you know, spot prices, with cost basis, all this other stuff that a business would need in order to be able to account for it. And we do all this through our, you know, really easy to use platform. But not only that, we take it a step further, and we actually make it possible to account for your crypto assets in QuickBooks. So it's the world's largest, most popular accounting software. It doesn't support crypto to a great degree. And so what we've done is figured out how to make that work. I can't take the credit for that alone. Our CFO, Joey, is a CPA. He's part of the founding team. He's the accounting brains behind this whole thing. All I am is the guy who came up with the cool logo.
Sure. I obviously don't believe you when you say that, but of course, you know, cheers your CFO and the rest of your team, obviously, which we'll get into here shortly. You brought up some really cool things though when you said that, and that is, you know, in my opinion, just from the outside looking in, someone who's not necessarily in need of this but finds this very interesting, is that we as a whole, as humans, we expect things to work, kind of like the analogy you use when it came to, you know, you don't need to know how a internal combustion engine is going to work to get to the grocery store. Well, we also don't necessarily want those things either when we're doing things, and even business. And a business should, the tax purposes, you know, that are implemented throughout just about every major nation, you know, they're there for a reason. Whether you agree or disagree is irrelevant to this conversation. And it really comes down to, can I operate a business under certain, stresses or certain types of, environments, whether it be in the crypto sphere, whether that be, in typical business practice. Everybody's got obstacles. Every business has to overcome something, right? And to make something easier to overcome, whether it's here in cryptoverse or if it's somewhere else, you're helping out everybody else involved in that industry. In crypto, Gil, and I know you probably not just agree with this, but you're probably embodying the reason why I'm saying this. But in crypto, we have a huge problem with people not understanding this space. We have a very, very big problem with that. And when you can make it look, when you can justify and even make it look credible outside of, just the echo chamber where we so often find ourselves in, you're doing a huge service to this space. And I know that's one of the things that you've accomplished, is bringing credibility to this space on a big picture. But what kind of feedback and what kind of even pushback have you gotten from, because you're dealing with a lot of people who aren't necessarily in crypto? Like, what is that conversation like these days?
Right. So there's actually a few different types of people that we would talk to give us different feedback. Sure. I'll try and make it really, really short. So
I think this is a really interesting part, so you don't have to cut it too short.
All right. So there's what we'll call a crypto business. That's a vague term. What the hell is a crypto business? A company that's in the blockchain industry that's using crypto either for payment, they have their own token, or otherwise are using, crypto networks. What they say is, we don't really understand accounting. Sometimes they don't even understand how important it is, but actually it's becoming more important by the day. Like it or not, countries have caught on to, hey, this is like potential revenue source for us. We need to keep an eye on that. And also crypto investors, they want to know that they're investing in a real project. Sure. And so you need to get those financials right. And so for them, it's often about convincing them how much time they'll save if they have a good solution to this problem. Let's say like a traditional CPA, a traditional accountant who does not touch crypto. What they want is to feel empowered, where when they do have a client that has crypto, they know what to do, right? And what we're asking them to do is not learn how to read Etherscan, is not learn how to use a block explorer and learn about gas fees and all this kind of stuff. Sure. What we want to do is create very simple tools that allow them to just be accountants and just account for stuff, no matter where it comes from. You just do it. And so that's part education. It's part creating the right tools. So they get that it's coming. They've been told by the accounting industry, blockchain is going to change everything. But for them, a lot of them are just kind of like, waiting to see the real demand among their clients. Now, the accounting firms who deal with crypto every day, they're like, my hair's on fire and I need a solution yesterday, and can it do these 50 things? And that's the challenge for that audience. Sure. And then there's a question for, people that aren't any of those things. And, and they ask, well, what's the importance of this? And it's that it goes back to what I was saying before, is about wanting to take advantage of the technology, but you shouldn't have to know how it works under the hood. And I think that's a key thing.
Yeah. So, in your experiences, especially as much you've been pitching events, and we'll get into that here in a minute as well, but, are people pretty receptive that aren't already in crypto? Are they seeing this and being like, whoa, this is really cool?
Yeah. I mean, we're getting an absolutely great reaction. The other thing I forgot to mention about our software is that we have a payments system built into it. So you can invoice your customers, they can invoice you. This is something we've had from day one, and it's the best crypto invoicing tool out there. This is one of the most popular features of our platform. And it's one of the ways where I think we have like a real advantage. People are able to see, yes, I can apply this to my business. I can solve a real problem with payments. And, so I'd say we're getting a great reaction. Yeah.
Yeah. So another part about this that interests me a lot is that you guys literally have to kind of make sure, you don't have to kind of do this. You have to make sure this is in compliance and this falls into the guidelines set forth by the IRS and the U.S. government, specifically for the U.S. here, but I'm sure elsewhere as well. But what is your opinion on how that's starting to shape up? What does that image look like as far as the government's take on the business side of crypto?
So in a lot of other countries, especially in Europe, we're seeing that they're actually very forward thinking. The
Love it.
United States is not,
Of course.
but
Dang.
I will say I will say that being patient, which I feel like
Mm.
the United States regulators are doing, is better than making rash decisions.
Absolutely.
And
You're not seeing that knee
so
jerk. Yep.
I'm okay with that. We can talk for like 20 seconds about what the IRS wants because people don't really want to think about the IRS that much. They're asking on the 1040 tax form next year, do you have any interest in virtual currency? They call it virtual currency.
Sure.
They're tracking this stuff now. Unfortunately, there's no way around that part unless you're a Monero bag holder or something like that.
Yep.
But it's serious, and it's not to scare people. I mean, there's no free lunch. Government, provides what they provide
Yep.
for us. And I'm for one not the person who's going to, beat down the door and say you must comply with the government. But I also want to give people the right tools so that they can feel like they're not doing something wrong.
Sure. And our perception, the way that the public views us is a direct result into who is, how many people are being arrested for certain things, right? That for so often Bitcoin and crypto have been, hand in hand with being arrested and or about to be arrested or something of those that matter. And you guys are really doing a really incredible job in bringing some transparency into what the space is for people on the outside looking in. Now, let's kind of dive into another part about this, Gil, and that is, it's not just a single focus that this company is, and you've briefly kind of explained what you guys are doing, but let's talk a little bit about what has transpired over the last year for you. You guys have been in New York pitching, you've been winning competitions, you've been doing all sorts of things. What's all the things that you've been involved in?
Well, I would say about a year ago, we released a very early beta of our invoicing product. And we had some very basic bookkeeping features attached to that. We started getting some usage of it. Soon after that, we were accepted into the Techstars blockchain accelerator. Now,
Awesome.
Techstars is a tech startup accelerator, and we were specifically in a blockchain program. They gave us funding, they gave us connections, they gave us educational resources, everything they possibly could to make us a better company.
Yep.
And
And Techstars is a pretty big deal, right? That's not something that just showed up yesterday. This. I think Techstars has been around for probably several years, if not a decade.
Yeah, and in the program that we participated in, over 500 companies applied, and they picked 10.
Wow.
So that's 2%.
I was there, by the way, when you were at Techstars. I got stayed at your house, chilling in New York for it was during consensus, obviously, and so I got to hang out with you for. I mean, I guess I stayed there for one night, but I got to see you for about an hour and a half or so, and it was I could tell you were focused there. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You were on fire.
That was definitely go time. Yeah, so this was a 3-month program. First month of the program was all about connecting. So they introduced us one-on-one with 100 high-level people in related industries, traditional finance, crypto, banking, legal, accounting, all these things. And we explained over and over again who we are, what problem we're solving.
Sure.
And you just get beat down with different feedback. Different people say different things. It was brutal.
You're a huge failure.
Yeah, and you hear that, and you're getting conflicting feedback.
Sure.
But at the end of that time, you start to synthesize it and understand what your core value proposition is. Second month of the program is like, okay, now that you figured that out, go prove that it's the right thing.
That's right.
So you're kind of
the hard part. Everything else is like the easy part.
You're kind of just thrown off the boat, sink or swim. And so, you're testing things, you're testing messaging, audiences, all these sorts of things. Really working on product market fit. Final month of the program, 30 days before it's over, they got this huge chalkboard and they wrote on there 30, number 30, because that's the number of days until demo day. You get on stage, 200 investors in the room. You got 5 minutes to
one second.
show what you got.
Before you get into this part. So keep in mind, folks who are listening to this, him and his team are literally crammed into a place in New York City this entire time period, right? I mean, like they accepted this, they got accepted in, they were one of the finalists for that 10, of the 500 that put it in. And just so you understand what he's talking about, they literally moved to New York and they just started busting their ass for this time period, right? And they get to this point and they got 30 days on the chalkboard, but they've been living there for this long. They've been being told that they're horrible, that they're amazing, that they've got this happening for them, whatever it might be. And then you got Gil as the leader, obviously, leading this group of men and women, trying to make something happen. And here we are, obviously the next part of the story, 30 days on the chalkboard. I just want to make sure everybody understands, like, it wasn't just like, yeah, you win here, come up here every other weekend. No, you're there the entire time.
Yeah, we were there at the office about 14 hours a day.
Every day. Yeah.
About 8 hours a day at home, including sleep and then, our personal time. And this was like 7 days a week for 3 months.
Was it worth it?
It was absolutely worth it. I'm not ready to do it again right now. That was crazy.
First time you'll never want to do again. I get it.
Anyways, so but during this time, we're having periods where, there's speakers who are brought in. There's Amazon and Google and all these other companies are brought in to see how they can help. And, on like Fridays, they would have like Wednesdays, they had dinner time where they would bring in like a big name, like a Charlie Shrem or someone like that. And, they would have that person give an experience share. And those moments were incredible too. We had Rand the crypto man from CNBC Africa, who was in our office regularly and taping stuff. So it was a lot of fun at the same time that it was, a lot of brutal work. So it wasn't all bad.
All right.
30 days left.
30 days left. Let's go.
30 days left. So you've got, 5 minutes to explain why you are amazing, going to take over the world, and deserve to get funded. And it starts with a story. You've got to have a compelling story that people want to hear. So that's step one. Step two is you've got to learn how to tell that story in a clear and logical way from point to point. Step three is, what's your traction? How do we know that this is the right path? Sure. And so, some people say, well, 5 minutes on stage really isn't going to change the trajectory of your business. I totally agree with that. But what does change it is when your entire team rallies around, what are we going to present on a traction slide at the end of this 3-month program where they put, over $100,000 into our company? What are we going to say we accomplished? And that's the hard part. And that is the valuable part, because it forces your entire team to come together as one and figure out how to demonstrate that you've got a real business on your hands here. So that's what my team was working on while I was figuring out what words to use, what the slides should look like. How do I present this in a way that people don't fall asleep?
Yep.
How do I present this in a way that I don't forget the words?
All you gotta do is shake your head, bro, and let that hair flow. No one's falling asleep on you.
I wish I could say that, but you're definitely not falling asleep up there. Your nerves are crazy,
of course,
during this demo day. So
yep.
Yeah, let's fast forward to demo day. We've got 5 minutes. I remember very specifically, I was one of the last people to go. Each CEO would, at the end of each CEO would go one at a time to pitch their company. I was one of the last ones. There was like this little green room right before when you were the next person up. And it was really more of a closet.
That's a little nerve-wracking.
It was really more of a closet, and you could just almost like smell all the anxiety from the people that were in that room before you. And when you step out of that room, everyone's clapping and the entire audience is looking at you.
Bro, that's
the
so
lights
cool.
on you.
That's so cool. Like, I'm so excited for you right now.
So it was crazy. Long story short, nailed the pitch. It was a lot of fun. I put a few laughs in it. People really enjoyed it.
Sure.
The last line of it was, now I've heard some people say that crypto is eating the world. Well, if that's true, then I've got one question for them. Who the hell is going to do the accounting?
Clutch, man. I love it. No, it's well said, by the way. Well said. And, I first off, because I have a personal relationship with you, Gil, and I know how charismatic you can be, and especially in that kind of setting, I have no doubts that you killed it. Obviously, I know the end result as well, which I'll let you tell everybody here in a second. But you do have a certain aura around you when you're speaking, and if anybody who has not got a chance to get to know Gil, he's as friendly as anybody will ever be, and he's got that Southern charm and that beautiful hair, and he's really capable about having any conversation about crypto, not just in the accounting sphere, but because you also have a background in developing, Gil, I think really puts you ahead of a lot of folks, but you're also really, really a personable person. And that's not, like all those qualities, they don't exist in people, you have a really seriously great combination of all those things where you're capable of about anything, and I'm proud to be your friend, but let alone proud to see what you're doing with those, that skill set. So tell me this. So what was the end result? Did you guys do okay?
We're still here.
That's right.
So we graduated from that program in May. We holed up all summer, building, sort of the first version of our product.
Hold on. Keep in mind, folks, Gil's doing this the whole time for the last 2 years you've been working on this on Gilded, I guess, around about 2 years or so. Yep. And you saw the end of 2017, boom, great. And then from there on out, it was like miserable, right? Especially leading up to March, April, and finally you got some relief and you saw the market go back up a little bit. But it takes a lot of courage, even as well as belief in what you're doing. There's a combination of the two that probably has to exist to keep pursuing this. But through the barest of bare, the worst of worst, you guys have pursued and pushed forward and made it through this time period. And obviously we're going to get to where we're at today, but you're sitting here talking about this in May, but now it's literally December of the same year. But that's probably seems like a decade ago.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. We did this in the depths of the bear market. Wasn't easy
parts. Yep.
But let me just say this. It took, a lot of belief in what we were doing to suffer through it, to tough it out.
Sure.
But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And on top of that, what this industry needs is real businesses, proving out that, hey, this technology is making an impact, not going to make an impact, not could make an impact, making an impact. So Absolutely. What are the business models? What are the types of companies that are needed? How do we get this thing off the ground? And because of that, it doesn't matter what the prices are to us. As long as the prices don't go to zero,
as long as it's still usable,
we're okay with that. But I think
not
actually
what you want, but
no, of course not. I mean, if we're in the middle of a bull market, then I imagine that I wouldn't have to spend as much time fundraising.
That's
but
right.
I would also have, a lot of other things to worry about, like my employees having Binance open, Raina having Binance open,
yeah,
trading during the day.
Hey, you got to worry about you having Binance open and trading during the day if we're in a bull market.
Man, I thought I was a genius in December 2017, and
did we
in
all,
January? Let's say I got my education in January.
That's right, like many of us did. But the ones that are still here, the people that are still here, obviously learned some very good lessons. We graduated and got our degrees. Hopefully, hopefully we're not working on our masters anytime soon. If we are, then oh man, I don't want to talk about it. But I do feel like we're in a much better spot on it as the market goes. Going that time period after, you graduated from Techstars and, you're able to really kind of understand who you were. I'm sure it was a lot of great lessons, and, you're kind of built for that world anyways, Gil, just as a human. What were some of the biggest takeaways, leading up to that summer?
One of the biggest takeaways that we learned is that every business who's dealing with crypto today, they're using spreadsheets to do it. And especially as using it as a form of payment, it's actually, that's a huge negative. People don't, they try it for a while and then maybe they stop doing it because it's too much to keep up with.
Yeah.
The other thing we learned is that no business really wants to manage one accounting system, much less an entirely separate one for crypto. And so we knew that we had to build a solution that was, a bolt on to your existing accounting, not some totally separate thing.
Sure.
We also learned that, we needed to build a product that, worked for specific use cases as opposed to just kind of a general purpose solution.
Yep.
Because you'll never get the functionality that you need if you're just saying, oh well, this person said they want this and that person said they want that. So you have to think about, all right, very narrowly, who am I focusing on and what am I building for them? So yeah, I mean, those are just a few of the lessons. When you're working on a venture-backed startup, you've got many other things that you need to learn, such as fundraising, such as cash management, such as dealing with your team, making sure they don't get burnt out. All those sorts of things are really, really tricky.
Hey, Gil, let me tell you, if there's one person who's probably the best in the world at that, it's probably you. In fact, if you're hiring, I would love to work for you because I know how badass of an experience that would probably be. You've done some great things in this world. And, I don't want to be over complimentary here. Obviously, my respect for you and my adoration for what you've created. But, I mean every word I say when I talk about what kind of experience it would probably be working for you. I mean, I've never done it, but everybody who does is like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest person ever, right? And I got to give a lot of love to Jason and Raina right now, and as Raina goes, I'm sure you would probably come back and say 1,000 great things about her, and obviously Jason doesn't technically work for you, but when you get Jason, you get Raina. It is what it is, and that's a great thing in my opinion, because when I get Jason, because I have Jason right as a moderator on CCT, I get Raina, which is like the greatest positive. And in fact, without Raina, Jason might not have a moderator position. Just kidding, Jason. I love you, man. He'll laugh at that. But he's also a Nationals fan, and I got to give him some love. They just won the World Series last month, and a month and a half ago, whatever it was. And Jason's a great dude. But I know these people really well. Let's talk about your team real quick, man. Let's hear who's involved.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Raina. In tech companies, in blockchain companies, we don't have enough women, and I have worked on many different teams, startup teams,
so true,
corporate teams, and it's really important to have a balance on your team. And it's not about equality; it's about you really needed to have a balanced perspective.
Yep.
There are so many things that women see that men don't see. There's so many things that they bring to the table.
Absolutely.
I'm not just saying that; it's absolutely true.
Yep.
And so to have Raina on our team, a woman who is a strong woman, who is a very determined woman, and a woman who is smart and knows about crypto, that's very rare.
Yep.
And as in a startup, what's also very rare but very essential is a hustler. And Raina is a hustler. Any business would be absolutely, overjoyed to have someone on the team who is able to just get out there every day, meet people, tell them about what you do, get them excited about it. And that is what Raina does. And it's magic. It's really magic.
Yes. And you know, what's funny you say that is like I mean, I've got the privilege of being around Raina so many times with my affiliation with Jason, and she's been a great member of CCT. She's a great member of the CCTW, the women's group, and Gil, everything you just said is so spot on from everything I know about her. And I'm not even working with her. Like, you know her like really, really well, right? I know her just like as like this cool ass redheaded chick who just like is on fire for crypto, you know? And
Right.
you say the same things that I think about her, and that you're somebody who's been working with her alongside of her, working on a really, really big project that has the potential to change the way that businesses are able to do business inside of this cryptoverse, and most importantly, outside of it, right? And for people who are listening, you know, you don't understand, first off, in crypto, you can't trust anybody. So when you can find people you can trust, or who are going to work hard, who are going to stick around, it's an incredible thing. You know, it really is. And that's why I'm so privileged to have the moderators that I do. But more importantly, when you find Southern folk from none other than the NOLA, right? From the Big Easy, New Orleans, baby, you know, you find people from down home who understand your culture, who understand the way you are. And you don't have to have that to be successful, but I know it damn sure feels good.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It's great to have this NOLA connection. We actually started this company with a bunch of people from New Orleans. Ken, our CTO, was the organizer of the Ethereum meetup in New Orleans. We also have Joey, who's our CFO. He's a CPA. He was, you know, we got him from the Ethereum meetups. So, you know, we're really grateful to have that connection. At the same time, I want to stress that crypto industry is global. That's what's awesome about it. We're in a global generation now. The internet democratized access to information, but the same thing isn't true for the transfer of value, and crypto solves that. So, you know,
damn well said, by the way.
Thank you. Having a global team, you know, makes sense as well. So we've got people in Europe, in Albania, a lot of our developers. We work with people from other parts of Europe. We, you know, regularly working with people in Asia. You know, we've got people in New York, San Francisco. This is a global industry, and we don't want to minimize that. So, you know, we emphasize the local connection. We emphasize the global connection. It's all good.
All right, so let's move into this part. Who is it that actually needs your services, Gil? Like, what would it be that, or what company would it be that would be like, hear this, whether they hear us talk, you know, or heard you on stage pitching your company or whatever it might be? Who's going to be the most interested in your services?
First and foremost, we have a great solution for businesses that are sending or receiving payments in cryptocurrency. We have had that solution for more than a year. It's in use by some big names in the industry to invoice their clients, to get paid, and to track all of that activity. We have a partnership with Request Network, which I want to talk about Request and triple entry accounting later. But we've got a really cool solution, invoicing solution with their technology. And we also support stablecoins, which eliminates one of the biggest, you know, issues that businesses have with crypto. You know, it's very important to understand businesses that are not, you know, crypto funds don't want to speculate on crypto assets. So the volatility is no good for them.
Absolutely.
And, you know, stable coins, I totally understand the perspective of, you know, it's still tied to the traditional inflationary financial world, and, you know, not a great long-term solution. I love Bitcoin, but, you know, today, if you're a business, like, let's be real, you got employees to pay, rent to pay, you got to use a stable coin. So
sure, it's got to make sense.
Business,
in other words,
right? So businesses that are sending or receiving crypto payments, their companies in the blockchain industry, they are, you know, freelance and gig economy workers, and companies countries outside the U.S. who are getting paid from people in the U.S. We see a lot of that sort of, and you know, those are the big targets in sending cryptocurrency today. But we're working on a solution that's going to open that up so that any business can use crypto kind of seamlessly without really needing to understand how it all works. So that's one audience. We're also, we work with a lot of crypto mining operations. They, have a very specific accounting use case. They treat their crypto as inventory. There's tax requirements around it. We help them minimize their tax burden. And the final group that we work with today are crypto exchange and liquidity providers. I use that term kind of loosely because there's a lot of different companies that are involved in the transfer of crypto assets, of course. So we work with a local company, for example, that actually has Bitcoin ATMs, and they've got a really interesting accounting use case because they've got a trading aspect to it. They've got a exchange aspect to it. They have a sort of affiliate structure where they're paying the owners of the stores where the ATMs are located a percentage. So there's all these different parts to it. Every exchange is sort of different, and I use that, like I said, as a loose term. So those are the three groups: businesses using cryptocurrency, crypto mining operations, and exchanges and liquidity providers.
No, absolutely. And I appreciate your explanation and your the ability to bring interest into the space. And my favorite thing about this is that you're allowing people who may not have seen crypto as an option to take, or to be able to do business with a crypto asset of any sort, to take, whether it's Bitcoin or whether it's anything else, that is used as a payment method, you're opening that avenue up. And folks, I really want y'all to remember that. And, so often, and look, you're going to have to correct me here because, of course, I didn't go to, I'm not an accountant. I'm not doing anything in accounting software, nor am I anywhere near somebody who you should be taking tax advice from. But, we've been so suppressed on a business level with double entry accounting. Come on, Gil, like double entry. And for those of you that don't know, that means double entry means that every transaction will involve at least two accounts, right? For example, if your company borrows money from a bank, the company's asset cash is increased at the company's liability notes payable is increased, right? I mean, it's pretty simple as far as like what we've been, boxed into for how long now, right, Gil? But the blockchain has opened up what you told me is now called triple entry accounting. Is that not correct?
Yeah, that's right. Now, don't worry.
Did I explain it correctly, by the way?
You did, actually.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'm not going to talk about accounting for too long here.
But that's a big deal. It's a really big deal. And I want people to really pay attention to what Gil's about to say, folks, because, we've been in crypto. Sometimes, we're ostracized, or even we're removed from a conversation of having a business, credible opportunity. But Gil, as I'll let you explain, there is hope.
So the greatest invention in accounting technology in the past 500 years is because of blockchain. And this is actually probably one of the most impactful use cases of blockchain that I think we'll see over the next, let's say, 10 years. It sounds crazy, but hear me out. Today, businesses use something called double entry accounting or double entry bookkeeping to keep track of your books. You've got debits and credits. And basically what that does is helps you sanity check to make sure when you add up all the numbers that they add up correctly. It's a system of checks and balances. This was invented.
And honestly, we know that as pretty casual accounting at this point, knowing what we know in crypto. But I mean, like it's a principle that is, you're the buyer, you're the seller.
That's right. And it was invented by Venetian merchants, like 500 years ago. We're still using the same system. Yes, we have QuickBooks and spreadsheets and all this stuff, which is great. But ultimately, that is focused on within your company only. It's only focused on your company's finances. What if there was a way where you have your company's finances and another company's finances, and the intersection between the two could actually be recorded on a ledger? Now,
Why would that be important, Gil? Like what's the use case in that?
So why would you want to understand the connections between two businesses?
Yep.
It goes back to
Simplify it for me because I'm kind of dumb.
It goes back to fraud. So if you're a public company, if you're a public company or you've got a lot of investors, you need to get audited. Now, nobody wants to think about the word audit because you think of the IRS is saying my taxes are wrong. But if you are a real business that people are investing millions, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars into, those investors want to make sure that that company is legitimate and they're doing things by the books. We don't want another Enron situation like we had a long time ago where they were totally cooking the books.
Yep.
We don't want another 2017 in the crypto world where everyone was I'm not going to say everyone, that's not true, where a lot of people were cooking the books. Yep. They were taking money, they were spending it on a lot of things that they weren't supposed to, and there was no responsibility to the investors.
And the rest of the crypto world suffered because of that.
Right. So in the crypto world, we don't have what's called disclosure. You know, if you're investing in a public company, you can go look at their disclosures online, and all that information has been audited by a third party to make sure it's legitimate.
Sure.
Now, the auditors, believe it or not, they, to simplify this, they basically go in a room at the business's office, and they're handed a stack of invoices, and then they handed a stack of bank statements, and they have to go through all these and make sure that they match up.
Sure.
Now, it's such a big process that they can't possibly do it all, so they sample it. They say, let's take 10% of the invoices and make sure that none of these went to companies that are fake companies, or that they didn't book revenue that wasn't there. Now, this is important, right? Because if you're investing money in Apple, if you're investing money in Microsoft, you want to make sure that they're doing this by the books. In the crypto world, we don't have this yet.
Nope.
And not only that, for the businesses that have to do it today, it's a very manual process. It's very expensive. Triple entry accounting is a way to connect two businesses, double entry accounting systems together with a ledger that can't be tampered with that records the invoice between the two parties, along with the payment details, because if it's happening on chain. And now if you have this record, you can start to automate the auditing process. So imagine a world where every company is represented by a token, on a blockchain. And imagine a world where all of that company's assets are also privately, but also on chain. Imagine if there were auditing firms third party independent auditors who could run through and audit these companies using the blockchain to verify both sides of the transaction, make sure that they know who those people are, and verify that all those transactions are legitimate. If you could do this in real time, and if you were a crypto investor, would you feel more comfortable investing in a token?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I mean, without a question. And you know what it tells me is, auditors, you better figure out something quick because Gil's coming for you.
That's right. Now, not every part of an auditor's job can be automated. One thing that can't is verifying who owns assets, and this is one of the bigger challenges
for now.
With auditing is let's say you're a crypto company and you're like, I've got 5,000 ETH on my ledger. The auditing firm is going to say, okay, well, show me give me the address so I can go look it up on Etherscan. But then they're also going to want to make sure you can sign a transaction and make sure that that's actually your account. But how do they know that someone else doesn't also have signing privileges on it? That's not easy. So we're not getting totally rid of the auditor's job.
We're not trying to screw you all over, auditors, but you're on the clock.
That's true. So look.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about blockchain. And I know you're not trying to go to war with auditors. I just think it was funny, and I made a joke. Obviously, you're on the record too, so we don't want to pretend like you're doing anything that you're not. But I mean, the beautiful thing about the blockchain is it's certain and it's always,
Right.
and when you're doing business a certain way, and obviously there's always going to be a role for auditors. They'll make sure of it. Clearly, we know that. But when you can make not only their job easier, but your job in being somebody doing the right thing, and then also getting the credibility behind doing the right thing and being able to see that, in, whether it be real time or whether it be at a monthly or a quarterly report, it's all there. It's not necessarily something that anybody's hiding. It's literally something you might be able to just go and look up one day. And I do think that's a future business. Integrity and accountability is something that in this digital age, we were remiss of, honestly, for some time, because there was just so many unknowns about what was going on or who you're doing business with. The blockchain is going to be that verifiable, asset that you have with a company that brings the credibility back to online business. We've all just kind of hoped in a lot of ways for a long time that everybody was doing the right thing. And clearly people got screwed over, not just in crypto. We're talking about on all the internet's history, from the very first business that ever started on the internet to today. A lot of times you're still hoping, just because they're using this type of, payment process or whatever it might be, whether it be crypto, whether it be PayPal or anything else, from the smallest of the small to the biggest of the big. At times you don't know exactly how all this is working. You're just knowing somebody's helping you with the transaction. Clearly it helps both parties, both the buyer and the seller, to have something like Gilded involved and not just involved, but at a high level, incorporated into your product. Gil, let me ask you this, man. What is the future of all this? I feel like Gilded has a kind of a head start on a lot of companies. Clearly there's people probably coming for you, if not trying to buy you. I'm sure you've turned down offers already. That's an assumption. I don't know that to be true. But I mean, you seem like you're really in front of all of this. And as we all believe, if we're still here, crypto has a really, really big part in a lot of what's going to be happening next in the world, especially in business. So, tell me what's the scalability of what you're doing?
Imagine a future not too far from now where a business can use decentralized finance, open finance, where they can have all the benefits that banks offer without using the traditional financial system, using a new financial system that's global, where businesses have more control, where they can where they have more accessibility. In the United States, it's hard for us to see that there's
Agreed.
a problem,
Yep.
but there's a problem with connecting the entire world together. It's
Yep.
not a problem in one country. It's a problem globally. I believe that wealth isn't a zero-sum game. If I help you make more money, I don't have to lose money in the process.
That's right.
And if we can get this right, we can make the whole world more abundant. So what the vision that we're creating, the future that we're creating, is one where businesses can begin to leverage this new open financial system, take part in it, see all the benefits of blockchain, have an end-to-end solution where everything, their entire process from start to finish just works behind the scenes.
Yes, sir.
Like every other app that they use on a regular basis, and where they can focus on, solving the problems that they want to solve in their business, not on trying to figure out how this new technology works. That is the future. And if we get this right, we're going to have more businesses around the world with access to financial systems, with access to work together. And we're going to have more visibility as crypto investors into the products and tokens that we work with. And this is going to be absolutely huge for the crypto market, for the global market. And
Agreed.
it's changing the world. It's so crazy.
I'm so proud to know you, by the way. And I have to stand corrected on something I say so often to people. And it's money only matters when you don't have it, right? That's what I've always said, Gil. But clearly that's not the case. Money matters a lot more than that when you have to pay taxes. So folks, pay attention. You have to understand what Gil is doing is allowing this space to exist at a high level, right? And I love it, Gil. It means a lot to me what you're doing on a personal level as a friend. I'm proud of what you've accomplished, but on a crypto level, I couldn't thank you more, because you're doing something that seems almost like where the hell do you even start? Right? Like, where do you even start? Don't answer that. I don't want to give all your secrets away. Obviously I'm joking, but Gil, as I said, I could not be more proud of where you guys are. I'm not surprised, because I believe you to be a high level and a incredible human being, doing things for other people selflessly at times, and most of the time probably. And I don't want to take away from anything other than the fact that, if you are going to take something away from this, number one, know that Gil is an honest and real dude. This guy is kicking ass, but he's a real guy too. Like, this is a dude you want to be a friend with. Number two, what his company is doing and what they've already accomplished, nobody else has done it yet. Folks, listen up, man. This is helping you every day, making this stuff more adoptable. Chill out, bro. It's coming. Look, you got people like Gil in charge. It's okay. But and lastly, I want to state this too, Gil, is that, I mean, of course, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a tax guy. I'm not anything, but I'm really glad that I can just be like, yeah, Gil told me it was cool. No, obviously, I know you're also not an accountant. You just know accountants, but if you tell me it was cool, it's cool, bro. Chill. That's what's up. I'm down with that.
Yeah. I always joke, accounting is a boring topic, but it's so important. It's actually the second oldest profession. Fair enough. Most of us know what the oldest profession was, but as soon as you have that one,
is that what you're talking about?
I didn't say it, but
no, I did.
As soon as you have that, you've got to account for it. So this is critical.
That's right.
We're solving a critical problem for businesses. This industry is moving forward. There's nothing stopping it. Blockchain is going to change life as we know it. And I'm a part of it. You're a part of it. Everyone listening to this podcast is a part of it. And let's keep it going.
Well, I'm hoping to be down in NOLA around the 1st. So if you're going to be in town, I'll make sure I hit you up, Gil. I'm thankful that we were able to do this show finally. I know you guys have more coming, and I can't wait to have you on again. But what did we miss, man? Did I miss anything that you might want to bring up real quick?
No, I think you covered it all. Definitely hit me up when you're in town. It's always great to hang out.
Absolutely.
If you're interested in the things that we talked about today, I'm at Gil to the Rescue on Twitter.
Whoa. I got that question next. Hold on, let me ask it right.
I jumped the gun.
All right, Gil. So I appreciate your invitation to hang out with you and stay at your house on New Year's. That's cool. I'll be there. But where can they find you? What if somebody heard this episode tonight or today, and they were like, "Look, I like this guy. I need this guy." Where can they find you at?
I'm on Twitter at Gil to the Rescue. That's GIL, just one L. On LinkedIn, you can find me as well. Gilded.Finance is our Twitter handle. Gilded.Finance is our website. Look us up. Start a chat with us. We're happy to talk to you. We're all about connecting with people. And thank you so much for listening to the show. And thank you so much, Joe, for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Duh, dude. Look, but we're not done yet. I have this thing at the end of each episode, and if Jason didn't warn you, then that's his fault.
He did not.
Okay, good. All right.
What you got?
I do a quick fire at the end, and I like to have a little bit of fun. I like to humanize you a little bit more. Okay. So, obviously, as people come on the show, I think we're at episode 56 now, maybe 55. Maybe it's 57. It's either 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. It's not 60 yet. All right. Just so anybody listening to this is not giving me shit for not knowing what. Look,
sounds like you need an accountant.
I need a show accountant. That's what Jim's for, but Jim does it for me, and Jim is incredible at it. And not to mention, obviously Josh, and we've got Ashley and everybody else part of Bitcoin Radio, and Patrick McLean. I cannot go into detail what this guy's done for me. I mean, just because it would take the entire show, we would need to do another hour. But I love what Bitcoin Radio stands for. But what makes Bitcoin Radio is not me; it's the guests, right? And the guests can't just be people doing crypto things. They got to be humans that they're relatable. That's what crypto's always been. And I always do my best to make sure that we remember, hey, look, we're all freaking people. right? We're all trying to do this awesome thing and make this space awesome and decentralize the world and do this, that, but we're all still like going home and watching a movie and we're all eating popcorn, or we're cooking a steak on the grill, or we're doing something, right? We're still humans. And so what the quick fire session is I'm going to ask you a bunch of crazy questions that have nothing to do with crypto or minimal amount. You can pass if you don't want to answer it. You're on the record, so clearly you got to be, a little bit careful. But long and the short is this, Gil, is that, I'm going to ask you some questions and you better answer them or else I'm going to be mad at you. Fair enough?
I'm not getting on your bad side, Joe. Let's do it.
No, you would never get on my bad side. You're going to buy all my drinks in New Orleans, right? That's what you told me.
Oh, yeah.
It's part of the deal, all right? No, I'm just joking. Oh, yeah. Clearly, I'll be buying his drinks. I just want to be his friend. All right, so first question is this. Favorite movie of all time, Gil? If you have to say two, you can, but you got to answer or pass.
American Beauty.
Ooh, great one. It's just one, maybe two?
Hackers is a great movie. Matrix. Yep.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Matrix is the number one answered. Pulp Fiction usually finds its way into most of them as well. But I agree. I love American Beauty. It's a great movie. And obviously, you mentioned several good ones after that. All right. Bitcoin as a political party, yes or no?
I'm going to say yes.
I also, yes. By the way, I agree.
Think it's important that the interests are represented. I can't believe I had to think about it that long, but yes, absolutely.
No, I don't think it's that weird that you had to think about it, because I get about a 50-50 split. If I went through all the quick fires, I guarantee you it's probably close to 50-50. There's people who think absolutely not, and there's people who think, yes, we have to protect our interests, All right, next question, and we'll wind it down here soon, but you got a couple more after this. All right, aliens in the history of humanity, not as like a boiling lava rock. I'm talking about as humans have existed on planet Earth, and that's depending on what you believe, anywhere between 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years old, all the way down to, 250,000 years old. Okay. Have aliens ever encountered human beings?
Yes, actually, it was an alien who interacted with Hal Finney, and he invented this peer-to-peer electronic cash system.
Wow.
As Bitcoin.
You just took this to the next level, bro. Wow. I'm impressed. Okay. Next question. If you had to have a theme song, all right, you're walking out to the stage, about to present Gilded to the masses, the whole world's watching. What song are you walking out to?
Around the World by Daft Punk.
Cheer. Hey, but well done. And the fact that you didn't have to think about that one is pretty impressive. All right, Bitcoin, can it ever be $1 million? Can it?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
Because I think that as it becomes more accessible to people, it's only going to become more apparent that this is the answer to many of the economic challenges of our time.
Absolutely.
The inflation, the craziness that's happening in governments around the world.
Hey, last question. You ready?
Let's do it. Are
the LSU Tigers going to win the national championship?
I mean, without a doubt.
Duh. SEC, baby. All right. Well said. Go Tigers with an X. Just so everybody knows, if you got to find Gil, he's all over the internet. He's all over YouTube. He's everywhere, but he's definitely on Bitcoin Radio now. I'm so proud of you, Gil. Consider you a friend, but I also look up to you. I think that what you're doing is imperative for the crypto sphere, for the cryptoverse. We all have to do our part. I know what you're doing. I know what I'm doing. Any final words?
That's it, man. Go Bitcoin.
Go Bitcoin. All right, folks. Till next time here on WBTC, where Bitcoin lives. This is your host, Joe Blackburn, signing off. Thank you, Gil, for jumping on. And you know where to find us. Also, if you ever want to be a guest on our show, send me an email. You can give me a guest at bitcoinradio.com. You can email me personally at guest@bitcoinradio.com, or me personally at joe@bitcoinradio.com. I'm always here, folks. Cannot wait till our next episode, but I'm so thankful for Gil coming on and the whole Gilded team. If you can't remember, we're going to make sure that we're going to put we'll put the links in our posts. Gil, again, man, I'm proud of you, but more importantly, thanks for doing what you're doing for the cryptoverse. Until next time, everybody, we'll see you soon.